Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, our senior counsel for global affairs. And we are still talking about this issue that's before the Supreme Court today. And this is the issue of district court judges issuing nationwide injunctions against policies of the president. And without ever getting to the merits of it and putting this policy on hold, limiting the ability of the executive branch to govern. And I wanted to get Secretary Pompeo's take on this because as someone who has served in the executive branch, you've seen firsthand how the opposition can forum shop, get a judge in the district court to put a nationwide injunction on the policies of the administration. And that's really what is at the heart of this issue today. And so I just wanted to get from you, Secretary Pompeo, how hard is it to govern with the threat of a party disagreeing with you on a political matter or a policy matter that rushes to court to try and block almost any action that the administration decides to move forward with?
Well, what you described is exactly right. And I come at this from a practitioner's standpoint. We'll leave the legal arguments to others for the moment. But from a practitioner standpoint, it's the case that any party that feels like they're aggrieved, any citizen, any organization that feels like they're aggrieved can find a friendly district court somewhere in the country and show up, make a claim, and then really put sand in the gearbox for an entire nation to deny an executive the space to do what it is he was elected to do. Now, this, by the way, cuts both ways. It's been the case that conservative organizations have gotten to try to do this when there were liberal presidents as well. What we're really talking about is what is it that the executive should have the capacity and space to do, and can it be the case that several hundred district court judges that are trial judges, fact determining judges, can just literally with a single stroke of a pen shut down an entire nation's executive branch? That can't possibly be the outcome that the framers intended. And it is a practitioner, someone who was dealing with these things. Some of the foreign policy issues stem from executive orders as well, right? It impacted our ability to actually deliver what it was the American people had asked us to do. And I saw this with great frequency, certainly in the first year and a half or two of the Trump administration. First Trump administration, we saw it on immigration, but we saw it more broadly as well. It made life more difficult for all of us.
Well, and as you point out as well, that this shouldn't be really an issue that is divisive politically. And there are people in the media that will try to point out what the underlying executive order on this one is that has gotten it to the Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, that's not really the question at hand. The question at hand is what you're referring to and what even Justice Kagan brought up as recently as 2022 when she was on a panel at Northwestern Law School and talking about that, as you said, it cuts both ways. It's happened under President Biden or President Trump, and that the trend line is increasing as our politics get more divisive of using the court in this way, and that the fact-finding judge, as you said, the district court judge can actually put on hold for years as the legal process plays out a policy decision or a political decision by the administration that someone doesn't agree with. So I feel like if it would be presented fairly, that this should be an issue that most Americans, especially if they want their president to succeed, if you're not in favor of the policies of President Trump, but yet you keep seeing this continue, then it's just as likely to ramp up under the next administration and really harms all Americans because those in power cannot govern when the district court judges have that much power to block the policies and forward movement of an administration.
No, well, you've hit on a really, really important point there. First of all, I do want to remind folks there are hundreds of these district court judges. Literally, we can have dozens and dozens of district courts. By the way, putting nationwide injunctions that conflict with each other. I mean, the level of chaos that can ensue when a single district court has the capacity to shut down the entire nation on a particular issue with a stroke of a pen, it is dysfunctional. As a practitioner, it doesn't work. Now, the second thing that you hit on that's important is the time element of this. They put this nationwide injunction in place through a stroke of a pen, and it can go for years. And presidents are elected for precisely 48 months. Once the injunction is lifted, it can then take months to actually get the policy in place and implement it. You can essentially prevent a policy from ever being put into effect with a single district court judge for the entirety of a presidential term. That just is dysfunctional. It can't possibly be the case that what our founders intended. And this shouldn't be partisan. This is about the roles and responsibilities of a chief executive. And I'm pretty confident that the Supreme Court, while they may not go all the way in denying district courts this authority, they are going to cabin this capability, this power, in important ways. And I think that'll be good for all of us, whatever one's political views are. I think this will end up being a good thing for the country.
I did want to ask this one final question of you before we let you go today, but this is about the trip that President Trump is on in the Middle East and the bold call for both Saudi Arabia and other nations to join the Abraham Accords, something you were pivotal in getting forward during the first presidential term of President Trump. And now we are seeing the push to expand that and to bring normalized relations between countries that have never had normal relations and had antagonistic and actually many have had war between each other. What is your take on this push? And do you expect that we could see more in an expanded Abraham Accords in the coming months and years?
I think it's very likely. When the United States leads, when we put our reputation on the line, saying this is a good thing, and we ask these nations to do it, and then we are good partners with them, they will come to see that recognizing the right of Israel to exist is a pretty straightforward proposition. And President extended that to the new leader in Syria. Many of us spoken about one day praying that the Iranians would come to see it this way. This is how you get the stability, the peace, the economic prosperity for the region. The basic fundamental right that says Israel is going to exist, I think, is common knowledge and accepted now. No one disputes this. And so it's time for us to move past these legacy issues and get on with building a stronger, more peaceful, and more prosperous region.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for joining us today, for your insight, both as someone who has had to face things like these nationwide injunctions as you served in the executive branch in many different roles and having to face the possibility of trying to fight back against courts that are trying to shut down you governing in those roles, and also on your insight on the Abraham Accords. Very, very important topic that we are following closely here at the ACLJ. So thank you, and we will talk with you next week. But folks, today is a major day at the Supreme Court, as we told you. The justices are hearing the oral argument that is one of the biggest cases that will affect all of us and affect every president and every administration going forward, about the power of district court judges to block the policies of a president. Many of these political policy questions, not inherently something that a district court would have the authority to put nationwide injunctions on.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.